Hello, I'm Brian Foster, and this is about the prophecies on the 2020 election, part 3. This is going to be a little bit different. This is why I believe Kerr's prophetic word is credible, and I wrote this on February 1st, 2021. First, my general disclaimer. This is my opinion on the Christian prophets, right, in their prophecies of the elections. I also talked about in part 1, 2016. Part 2 is 2020. And I'm doing this to examine the data points to see how close we are on earth to the spirit realm. Are there people really talking to the spirit realm as I see it, as I am a spiritist? I believe in the spirit realm. I have had episodes in my life that make me believe in the spirit realm. I'm not a medium, but I've also had messages sent to me via mediums from the spirit realm, messages to my wife and I that make me also even reinforce that belief in the spirit realm. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking what I know, information I get from Spiritism, which is a lot of literature. It was created in the 1850s by Allan Kardec. It was codified, I should say, not created. And he set a series of 1,019 questions for different mediums throughout different geographical areas in Europe. And he did not record those or codify those answers unless they were the same or similar. So one medium didn't know about the other. So therefore, and of course, now this was all organized by the Spirit of Truth as promised to us in the New Testament when Jesus said, I will send you a consoler, the Spirit of Truth. So therefore, just to set my background, I believe in the spirit realm. I believe in heaven. I believe Jesus Christ is our Lord. He is in control of our destiny. He is in control of our planet Earth. All the angels around him, around in the heavens around Earth, there are other planets, and they have other people like Jesus in control of those planets. They have other heavens. There's heavens above even that level above each planet. But what those heavens are, we do not yet know. So, what I'm going to talk about now, before I begin, please hit the subscribe, hit the like, and hit the bell button if you want to be notified of when I give live streams or I upload my newest video. Now, let me start. So, what I want to talk about is when I look at these prophecies and I look at them on YouTube and other, on BitChute, I want to say is, when Kerr speaks, why do I give credence about her prophecy? Now, I had previously written part 2 about the status of the prophecies after the inauguration of Biden on January 20th. In part 3, I shall explain why the words of Kerr have great meaning to me. I am certainly not saying that other prophets are wrong, only that what Kerr has said about heaven strikes me as directionally correct. Hence, I firmly believe that she has been taken by spirits to one of the levels of heaven and has been shown around. Why do I say this? Because her report coincides with Spiritist literature which has described heaven. Now, first, the key words I said are directionally correct. I do not agree with everything she says. One may ask, how can that be? Wouldn't the spirit realm correct her on any misconceptions? The answer is no, they don't. As an example, the great prophet Edgar Cayce did not believe in reincarnation at first. Spirits who sent him messages did not try to correct his belief. Only after years of sending messages to other people from spirits did Edgar finally concede that the church he loved so much was wrong about reincarnation. Kerr has not said, to my knowledge, that reincarnation is real. Therefore, if her belief is strong, the spirit realm will respect that, and they will let her discover that fact for herself. Kerr has also said that she talked to God. High spirits from elevated levels of heaven circling the earth have told us, meaning spiritists, that even they do not see or yet comprehend God. Again, the spirit realm will not correct her mistake. Now, Spiritism has reported that the Apostle Paul thought he was talking to Jesus during his travels on earth, while in fact he was conversing with the spirit Stephen. Stephen was the first Christian martyr who was stoned to death. Hence, spirits do allow humans on earth to believe what they wish to believe as to what spirit is communicating with them and also to their core beliefs. They try to gently guide them. But now this is a common occurrence for mediums of high and lower talent. They are often fooled as to who they are speaking with. The important thing to remember is Spiritism does not force-feed dogma to anyone. Instead, the philosophy is to lay out the knowledge and allow each person to sift through the data to determine if the revelations of the workings and the reality of the spirit world is acceptable to them. Now, let's go through what I think Kerr said about heaven that is collaborated by Spiritist sources. I do not intend to create an exhaustive list, only to review the highlights of her revelations to us about heaven that has already been exposed by spirits to Spiritist mediums. One final word before I lay out the first list before you. I believe it is in the tiniest details that great things are sometimes proven. When a person analyzes a situation, it is often the compilation of the small pieces of evidence that explains what has or what will occur. Now let's go through the list. Time, the concept of time. Kat explained there is no time in heaven. Others have said this too, but she elaborated in that there is no decay, that flowers and trees could last forever. All true. Things of heaven are created by the minds of spirits. Objects will exist in pristine form for as long as the spirit or spirits desire them to exist. If you cut a flower in heaven and you put it in your vase, it will look beautiful, and then after a certain time, it will fade away. So there is no decay, no rust, none of that, no deterioration. Now, next, the order of the universes. Kat said the spirit universe was created before the physical universe. Again, true. The physical universe is a subset and is part of the spirit universe. Next is marriage. Kat talked about marriage. She explained there's not really the concept of marriage in heaven that we have here on earth, meaning that two people are bonded forever. Again, very true. Spirits may have a soulmate in heaven for a very long time and may be married through multiple physical lives. That's all been recorded by Spiritism. Now, but they are always free to go their own way when one or both are guided into a different direction. And some may be on one level, some may grow faster, some may grow slower, and they may need other stimuli or meet other people that can help them and they like them better. Who knows? But they're always friendly. There's no arguments or bad divorces in heaven. So, since we have multiple lives, we could have different wives in successive lives or even in one life. The spirit Andre Louise, in the book No Solar, met a man in the celestial city the city No Solar who was living with his mother, and he had two previous wives staying with him as they were waiting for their next incarnation. Now, No Solar is a great book. It's also a movie. It was psychographed by Francisco C. Chico Xavier. I would recommend anyone to watch that movie. It's No Solar. You could also find it as Astral City. Next, parties are gatherings. Now here is a small detail which is very revealing. She said that people had different color hair, because she was talking about her own pink hair. She's just quite a character. She's a wonderful person. And she goes, well, people in heaven have different color hair. They got skins, they have gowns, and they used a lot of precious stones that shined. Now, this has been reported by other spirits as spiritist mediums. In fact, they said the dresses of women may change depending on their mood, which is perfectly reasonable when you know that clothes are just one more object created by the owner's will. We have to remember, in heaven, or in the spirit world, I should say, thought is action. Not here on earth, but it's all different. And this is all explained in my books. I have a series of 3 books, Heaven and Below, Spirits and Spirit Universe, and how spirits guide us. Really talk about the processes. It talks about Jesus Christ in heaven. He's much more than this wonderful person that came to us 2,000 years ago. It gives you much more information about heaven, the spirit universe, the spirits. Right? You are a spirit. You are an immortal spirit. Now, let me carry on. People may also have different skin tones. Now, it could just be they like that skin tone, and I mean maybe completely different than here on Earth. Or it could be they like what they were on a different planet. People reincarnate on different planets, and they may have had a special fondness for a certain skin tone they had on a certain planet. Lastly, now this is important, the use of stones, gems, is vital to really, when Kat says that, it perked my ears up. Spirits have related that many spirits display stones or gems, which denote which organization they belong to. In fact, they have said that you can look at a person's, gemstone on him, and you can say, "Oh, okay, he's this organization, and he may be that level." Now, I could be a little bit wrong on what level there is, but that is important. In fact, they've talked about whole gatherings where people would exist in different organizations. You imagine a great hall, and each section had people of different color uniforms with different color stones that may shine or not depending on how they're used. So no, this is very important. So again, these precious gems that she talked about are a really great clue that Kat has been in heaven. Next, assignment of certain talents or skills. Now, this is very interesting. Kat explained that people are given certain talents that they may use in their job or just personal life, such as painting or dancing. Now, here Kat is touching upon the boundary of life planning. Spiritism does believe in reincarnation and the creation of a blueprint. We say your life has a series of events, somewhat predetermination, but the difference is in predetermination, this means that everything is predetermined. What Spiritism says is that the major events of your life will occur, but you have free will on your attitude and your choices within those events. Again, this is a Spiritist as well as other religion concept. Spiritism tells us that our life does have a blueprint or a pre-made set of trials that we must go through while on Earth. This, as I said before, is not the same as predestination, since we have free will to make choices throughout the assigned events that we must journey through. Now, I kind of stated this twice, but I wanted to make sure people understand this concept. We do go through multiple lives, and in those lives, we pay for what we've done wrong in previous lives. This is why we're a planet of atonement, meaning we have to atone for our wrongs. Spiritism does not like to use the word sins. Let's do the next thing she talked about. Mansions. Now, Kat has said people have mansions ready for them when they arrive in heaven. Big houses, beautiful palaces. Now, this, according to Spiritism, is true for some. For others, when they go to heaven, they'll have a room or home given to them. Those who have incarnated directly from one of the levels of heaven and now are returning to heaven are most likely to have a type of mansion, house, or palace. Now remember, these houses are not built by physical labor, but they're built by the mind. Now, they could be a group of spirits helping them build this house, but they can build whatever they want, right? It's all used by universal fluid. All this is explained in my books. Those wonderful souls who have newly attained the required spiritual attributes to be allowed into heaven, they would not have an abode ready for their occupancy. Again, all this becomes logical when one understands that multiple lives are required for us to become good and loving souls. Next, everything in heaven is alive. This is what Kat described, that all objects interact and are affected by our presence in heaven. Again, this is true. Spirits have told Spiritist mediums that trees and even walls or houses will change color depending on the spirit that passes by them. Once you begin to understand the underlying concepts of heaven, all of this makes perfect sense. Heaven is this complex logical structure, and you are a part of that logical structure. You are a living person with your own character and personality, but you are plugged into everything. And therefore, your mind affects everything around you, and you can volitate, meaning you can move at the speed of thought to where you want to go. Heaven is a wonderful place. Now, let's go to the next one. The next 100 years are important. Now, Kat said the next 2 decades are required to set up the earth for the next 100 years. Now, this corresponds to what the Spiritist predictions that the earth is moving from a planet of atonement, where I said we must pay for our past wrongs, to a planet of regeneration, where we have mostly good people are on this earth. We get rid of the people who have primitive emotions, hate, and jealousy. There'll be less. There might be some of that, but it might be less. There won't be any hate or, wars or famine. So, Spiritism has also revealed that starting in the year 2000, which was 21 years ago, many advanced spirits are being reincarnated to help the earth move forward, and that these people will be in important positions around the years 2040 to 2050. So this is very logical for Kat to say the next 2 decades are important. 2020, 2030, 2030, 2040, because they're setting up the foundation for these generation of higher spirits to come to earth and be in positions of cultural responsibility, political responsibility, scientific responsibility. They will be leaders in our society in different fields. Also, as an information, spirits such as Socrates and Buddha are being planned to be reincarnated on earth. Let's go to the next one. Cars. Now, Kat said, yes, there are cars in heaven, and they run on beams of light or on tracks. And she said there's massive sailboats that float upon the oceans of heaven. Now, all this is true again. These are just some of the forms of transportation. Spirits can travel by thought, as I said before. You think of your destination and you're there. Not all spirits can do that. Some are a little bit immature, just arrived in heaven. They haven't gotten that skill set yet. And therefore, there are more common modes of travel. There are like monorail things that like travel. And so she could see all of this. And also, by the way, those massive, large ocean-going yachts, they're not powered like by wind per se, but by the will of the spirit, like the captain of the ship. They're powered by that. She also talked about like museums in heaven where you can learn all sorts of things. Kat described a place, a great hall where one could see the earth being created, our history, and our future. Again, this has been reported by other spirits, the Spiritist mediums, where they watched a revolving sphere and saw the geological changes to the earth, the formations of tribes, the Stone Age, the Bronze Ages, some of them interacting with each other, all sorts of things. And they were able, as the earth rotated, they were able to peer directly into the villages or cities and see people work and play and what type of inventions they use for transportation or factories, all of that. Next, she said the earth will be closer to the spirit realm in the future. She said, when she said that, it really resonated with me because that is exactly what Spiritism said. Spiritism tells us that as we on earth rise, mean spiritually rise, and of course, now let me step back for a second. Spirits are on different levels in heaven, and as you go up higher and higher levels, you become less matter and more energy. So we here on earth, we're this physical cocoon. We're almost all matter. But when you pass away and you're on the lower zone, which is around the crust of the earth, you are less dense than we are. That's why we can't see you. Now, when you go higher and higher in heaven, you become more and more energy versus matter. So as we change, the earth too will respond in kind and also be elevated, so that the earth and those of us still residing on it shall be less dense. We might enter another dimension and see other planets in our solar system that are there, but we don't see them because they are spiritually advanced than us. So since the spirit world is made up of different dimensions, well, many dimensions in the physical universe and in the spirit universe, it's made up of ethereal matter. This will put us closer to heaven, and communication between people on earth and spirits will be easier and more frequent. So these are all important points, and I could go on, but I believe the evidence presented here is enough for me to draw a conclusion. In my opinion, Kat has traveled to heaven. Therefore, I take her prophetic words very seriously. Now, this does not mean she's always correct. None of us are, absolutely me included. We should not underestimate the difficulty of learning something in a world with time as another dimension and translating that to an inferior sphere, meaning Earth. Heaven has been described as Earth made perfect, and that's pretty apt. The effort to be allowed in heaven is worth the reward. Cat's description of heaven should make you excited. That's why Spiritism tries to really bring this information to you. And again, this goes back to what I said at first. They're not force-feeding you any dogma. Spiritism doesn't say, well, if you're not baptized or you don't eat a certain thing, you're not going to heaven. No, you have to be a nice person. You should study. You should work on that. You need to change your character for the good. You don't have to be a saint, but you need to get rid of those primitive emotions, replace those with love, charity, honor, and fraternity. So, as I said before, the effort is worth it. Doesn't mean you have to stop everything and wear a hair shirt and go into a cave. No, just give some priority to work on your spiritual side. Remember, in heaven, you shall be immortal. You're going to be always healthy, never be out of work, if that's what you choose. Be surrounded by wonderful and caring friends. And when you do work, if you want to, it shall be your passion. Because we're not static in heaven. We're dynamic. We continue to grow in heaven, and we'll still reincarnate every once in a while. And as the spirits go higher and higher, the periods of reincarnation become less and less frequent, and you become certain enough you don't reincarnate unless you volunteer to go back and, like Buddha or Socrates, and you really want to help us poor souls on earth become better. The other thing I want to say is we don't become angels once we pass from physical life. We are the same. We remember our past lives. In fact, a lot of people, when they pass over, they think they're still alive because they feel themselves. They feel their body. That's because their perispirit, which is their thinking of what they look like, reflects of what they think they look like. So instead, in heaven, when we are in heaven, we learn, we plan out our next life, we plan what areas we need improvement, and we continue to help others in the spirit of love, charity, and fraternity. All of this is so that one day you can become a perfect spirit and reside in the highest levels of heaven, and then be able to know and communicate with God. Now, if this interests you, if you're interested in Spiritism, you can read my book, Spiritism 101, The Third Revelation. It is available in paperback Kindle and in audio format. But mainly, you can download it in PDF for free. It's in my blog at www.nwspiritism.com. And of course, as I talked before, if you really want to understand heaven, yourself, the spirit world, how we're guided by spirits, the future of earth, you can read my series of 3 books, starting with Heaven and Below. So I hope this has helped. I will do another blog post about the 2020 election when more events occur. And as I said before, they always occur. That's why we're on Earth. We're on Earth just to get stimuli all the time to help us think, to help us grow. Look, if you think life's supposed to be easy on Earth, you're wrong. It's to mold and change your character and your personality. That's why we are here. Anyway, God bless.